there was a tenseness between, first of all, between the two. There's no chemistry. I couldn't see chemistry between John McCain and Sarah Palin. It was, I felt as if we grabbed two people and said, here, sit next to each other, we're going to conduct an interview. There wasn't, they're not, you know, they're not comfortable with each other yet. The other thing about it is you can tell that they're losing. They just have, there's an intensity there, they're drained, the entire campaign staff is drained, the two candidates seem guarded, they seem on edge. It's not as if they were rude or anything, it's not as if they weren't trying to be forthcoming, it's just, they just seemed, it's a negative intensity. I don't know how else to describe it, but you'll see when you see the two of them together, the chemistry's not all there. You do wonder, is John McCain starting to blame her for things, blaming himself? Is she blaming him? You know, you just wonder what's going on inside their heads. Are they upset with how the other has treated them, and is that why her numbers are low? But whatever it is, it's a negative vibe that you get in that room.
Well, Brian, let's enlarge the picture a bit. It seems like it's tricky being running mates. You have to count on the other partner to back you up, especially if the other partner is your number two. Do you think we're seeing a similar thing in both campaigns right now, with perhaps Joe Biden talking about the threat that will face America 6 months into a Barack administration because he's a newcomer? That must have upset his running mate a bit.
I imagine so. And Chris, you know your history. This has only been kind of a hand-in-glove relationship. A finite number of times in the modern era, you got to see up close the Carter-Mondale relationship. You saw how it worked in the campaign and saw how it worked in the West Wing. Kind of an early notion of the partnership of a vice president to a president. And I think the tops of both of these tickets are getting used to it. But on the one side, on the GOP ticket, you have what has just become a colossal story. And it was all encapsulated in the 7-minute soliloquy that Colin Powell delivered on Meet the Press. What has happened since the naming of Sarah Palin by John McCain? So many columnists have juxtaposed it to his expression on every poster at this rally today, Country First.
Yeah, I want to ask that about...
I just think that...
Yeah, but Chuck, I want to ask you about what's been very successful politics, I think, and it is politics, on the Democrat side, which is to change the topic from she's a number two to she better be ready to be a number one. That Colin Powell said that. He said that very well, I think. The job of the vice president is to be ready immediately to be president. That's a definition which seems to have taken hold, a job description that's taken hold.
Well, it has, and you just look at our polling, we have the 55%. The other thing that I think that people may have overlooked in our poll yesterday had to do with the number of people who said John McCain's age is a factor. As her negatives have gone up, concern over John McCain's age has gone up a little bit. Those two go together. It's as if they realize, oh, I wasn't worried about John McCain. The idea of John McCain as president didn't bother me. He always seemed very presidential. That's not it. The age, it was always sitting out there, and you do wonder, does the problems that voters have with her raise that other number with McCain? We've seen some evidence of that today. But again, I can't emphasize enough the odd body language. I know Obama and Biden don't have the great chemistry yet, but there seems to be some chemistry. I didn't see any chemistry here. It very much feels forced, and you almost wonder, now maybe it's the intensity of the moment. They know they're down, and you have no sleep at night. You need that idea that you might win to probably keep you going, and maybe they don't feel that they can win right now, and so they're missing that intensity. But that was the thing that struck me more than anything. The lack of, you almost wonder why they wanted the two of them sitting next to each other.
And Chris, allow me to point out that there's a news item where we're jumping ahead at least 3 days coverage because, again, the conversation takes so long in evening news terms to play out. I asked Governor Palin if she was going to release her medical records. She said she would. So that is something of a reversal, and I must say, Chuck was there to witness this, a surprise to her campaign.
It was a surprise to the campaign staff. That's the other thing, Chris, you do wonder, both of these candidates are on the verge of pulling a Bulworth, or at least you feel like they're on the verge of pulling a Bulworth. I think they're second-guessing everything. You know, they're at that moment, and this New York Times Magazine piece that's out there talking about the behind-the-scenes of this campaign, how they were in search of a message. We're at a critical juncture inside this campaign for the McCain folks, and that's who's trusting who. You've got people worrying about their reputations now. Now you're wondering, do the candidates trust the staff? Does the staff trust the This is a very dangerous time in a campaign that is behind. They desperately need some good news, because you do wonder, is that cohesion disappearing inside, not just between the two mates that we saw today on camera, but with the entire campaign structure.